Hey guys, it's time for another road trip. This time we're going up north to Janesfield, Wisconsin. Just had my oil changed, checked my tire pressure, all my fluid levels, loaded up my phone with some good MP3s, so let's get going. I'll let you know why I'm going up there when we get there. Welcome to Wisconsin. What a dreary, crummy day. Hopefully this will have a happy ending when I get back home with my latest find. So what did I drive all the way out to Wisconsin to get? It is one of my bucket list sets. Motorola VT105, their first, I guess you call it a full-size tabletop set. So it came out to basically like late 47, same time as the VT71, the little 7-inch guys. This is a full-blown 10-inch magnetic deflection transformer, solidly designed TV in really nice shape. I don't want to leave my hatch open too long because it's drizzling out here. It's still got the back, it's got the bottom, it's got all but one knob, and you may recognize these because they have the same knobs as the VK106, which is the console version of this I picked up over the summer. Unlike that set, though, this one's in much better shape, so it's possible that if I have trouble getting this running, like some very hard to find part is shot, I may just salvage it from the 106 to get this guy is a little more valuable, a little more interesting and rarer. What a gloomy day. It's been raining now for almost 2 days straight. I'll still take it over snow though. It was construction all the way there. It's going to be construction all the way back. I guess they're adding a lane in each direction, and it's going to be done, I think, in 2016. So I think I'm going to try to avoid I-90 for the next 2.5 years or so, if at all possible. Not so bad here, but there's a long 40-mile stretch. Speed limit's 45, and it's down to one lane in some spots. And this being late on a Friday, it's going to take me a long time to get back home. And on top of sitting in the traffic and the construction, you get to pay tolls every few miles. Wonder how much time and gas is wasted every year at these stupid toll booths. I'm getting close to Chicago now, about 20 miles out from downtown, and things are grinding to a halt. According to the traffic report, it'd probably be at least an hour before I can get downtown. Well, it just so happens my parents live about a mile away from where I'm at right now, so I'm just going to get off, go visit with them, maybe grab some food, and then head back home after the traffic lightens up. Alright, I finally made it back home about 8 hours after I left earlier today. It should have been a 4-hour round trip, but obviously that didn't happen. Alright, so this is the Motorola VT105. According to the Early TV Foundation, I think they say it's an updated pre-war design. And I can believe that, because the cabinetry sure looks like the Art Deco type pre-war TVs. But I know the electronics inside are definitely not 100% pre-war. Some of the tubes they used just didn't exist back then. Now, if this looks somewhat familiar to you, well, it might be because you saw my video on this guy, the VK106. I think they came out at the same time. Certainly the same chassis inside. This is the console version. Both of these have a TS9 chassis, and there were 4 revisions, A, B, C, D. Both of mine are the C. I think these sets came out in late 47, and from what I've read, the first revision had channel 1. I know this doesn't, and I don't think this does either. So, kind of a bummer, but certainly an uncommon and very collectible set. So, let's see. Kind of hard to tell. It's kind of a smudge where channel 1 would be. I'm guessing it doesn't, but I can't tell for sure. Well, let's see. Does this have detents? Does it stop? No. Continuously rotates, so I can't count the number of stops very easily. Well, find out in due time. So it's the original finish, obviously alligatored, and there's a knob missing. Now these knobs are kind of curious, because if you recall, in my 106, I was missing all the knobs, and eventually, between digging through some knobs I had, and some I bought off of eBay, and going to a swap fest, I got what I thought was a complete set. But I was puzzled because some of the knobs were recessed and very hard to turn. Well, it turns out that the knobs I got are not all right. In fact, I knew that shortly after I got them when I studied some photos online more closely. What I should have gotten was some of these guys, where the smaller knob is not recessed and the outer knob isn't quite that big. The knobs I picked up were all the large outer style with the recessed inner style. Whereas I believe that should only be for the fine tuning and channel, and all the rest should be like this. So I need to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more of these, or 4 pairs. 3 for the other set and 1 for this missing set. But eventually I'll track something down. Otherwise, this set seems to be in really good shape. Now I was hoping to get it for less than I paid. I paid a fair price for what, considering what these are worth and how infrequently they come up. I've only seen one other for sale ever in my area, and it was nowhere near as nice as this. It was missing the back, and there was some cabinet damage, and somebody had used some 2x4s inside the cabinet to brace it, and it just didn't look right. Whereas this, like I said, it's the original finish. It's got the back, which is in quite nice condition, and it's got the bottom, which I believe is a metal mesh. I haven't tipped it over, but in the eBay listing, he showed the underside. So many of you can go onto eBay and look this up, so I'll just tell you I paid about, I think it was $290 or thereabouts for it. And if anybody out there was the one who was the second highest bidder, well, you might not want to hear this, but my cap was $300. So if you just bet about $9 more, it could have been yours, because that was not going to go any higher no matter what. And the reason I was hoping to get it cheaper is that the seller didn't really realize what he had. he had it listed as an old Motorola TV model TS9 because he just saw that number. For some reason, he missed the model VT105 on the back. Although I did see somebody sent him a comment telling him that it was a VT105 and a fairly uncommon collectible set. I've noticed there are some people on eBay who do that. I don't know if they're just being good Samaritans or what, but when they find items that aren't listed correctly, even though they have no intention of bidding on it or buying it, they tip off the seller or give them info about what they really have, which generally raises the... generally they'll cancel the listing and relist it with the correct description. Alright, so I don't recall there being any photos of the insides, and I haven't looked inside, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm not going to pull the chassis, though. I got too much other stuff going on right now, but I definitely want to take a peek inside and check the picture tube. Now, the VK106, I did a video on that where I did pull the chassis, and it's kind of a mess. And I was on the fence about whether or not it would even be worth restoring because it's been modified and there's stuff missing and the speaker's a mess. This is a far more collectible set, as far as I know. So if I need any parts for this, I'll probably take them out of the other set. You know, something that was really odd. A VK106, I've now seen 3 for sale around here just this year. One, a fellow Video Karma collector got. I think he was in the St. Louis area. Now there was another one in exactly the same town where I just got this one about 6 months ago and is in mint condition. And I asked the seller, like, was that you 6 months ago? Did you sell a VK106? And he said, no, he had no idea what I was talking about. So what are the odds in a small Wisconsin town, within months of each other, that somebody would be selling both a 105, or 2 different sellers that have both a 105 and a 106? It seems like an awfully strange coincidence, but apparently that's all it was. And no, I didn't win out on that. Didn't get that set because somebody beat me to it on Craigslist. Oh, before I pull the back, though, see if I can illustrate what I was babbling about with the knobs. So this is what I thought these knobs were supposed to look like. I picked up a few pairs of these, but obviously they're not. Although, well, you know, it's hard to say. They certainly fit on here and they work. And it just dawned on me that... So this is obviously the channel in fine-tuning, and this fine-tuning is a very small shaft. This knob will not fit on it. And then these guys are this size. Now, if these 2 knobs are supposed to be like this, then where did all these come from? So perhaps for symmetry, these knobs should be the larger ones. I'll have to study some more photos of this set online. But for now, that's what I'm going to put on there. There we go, and then this guy. Because, you know, even if they should be smaller like these, I think I like the symmetry better. So now the 2 outer knobs are the same size, and then these are the same size. Of course, every screw on the back is a different type and not original. Now, as soon as I get done exploring this set, I'm going to edit and upload this video. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the night editing and uploading videos on my Filca 60MB. It is done. And I got a ton of video on using my HP 3336A for aligning it, recoding a speaker, putting it all back together, and doing a final play. Alright, here comes a moment of truth. Now, this back's a little odd, which has me a little curious about it. It's flush on this side, or close to flush, but it sticks out on this. I'm hoping it's just the back's warped and the cabinet isn't. Oh, it's the focus control. I was wondering what that was on the back. Horizontal frequency, horizontal locking, horizontal drive. That's typical. Ah, it's got a brightener. Boo. Ah, and it's missing the high voltage cover. Although, I don't see where it would have been mounted. On the 106, I've seen the high voltage cover was actually attached to the back of the cabinet. Like a little mesh box, and when you take the back off, the cage comes with it. But not in this set. I don't see any evidence that there's one inside either. Unfortunately, well, I'll say the rectifier's gone, no big deal. I got enough 1B3s to last the rest of my life. Brightener, not the end of the world. I can put in one of my precious spare 10BP4s. Looks like this is screwed in down here. I'm guessing this was supposed to, like that. Looks like it's kind of jagged here. Maybe there was a piece that went over the top. So maybe these early TS9s didn't have a high voltage cage at all. It is partially submerged. The only reason, well, two reasons you need a cage at all. One is just to protect people from sticking their fingers in there, and two, to provide some shielding. But I know in later Motorola sets they just stick the whole flyback completely underneath the chassis, and that's it. So the chassis does double duty and acts as a shield. A tag, might be some interesting service info on this. Oh, that's hard to read. Albany C. Alright. Oh, it's probably a phone number. Albany 6460 CHIC for Chicago, maybe. I think it's just too faded. And there's a name. I'll bring it inside under better lighting and try to read it, but it's awfully faded. Now that's on this brightener assembly, so I'm guessing I brought it in for repairs or something, and they decided to stick this on there. Now I'm going boo and hissing all that because brighteners just are kind of a last-ditch resort when the picture tube's wearing out, and they accelerate the death of the picture tube, so I have low expectations on how it's going to test. Curious about the double pole ion trap magnet, identical to the ones I find in Admiral sets with the blue and black. I never saw a focus coil mounted at a 45-degree angle like that. Now, assuming I don't need to take any parts out of this for the 106, it would be a very nice model to use as to what it's supposed to look like. Because my 106 has got wiring modifications, caps have been replaced, there's the focus controls completely gone. It's rather confusing inside. Alright, the speaker looks to be in good shape. Alright, so last thing I'll do, well, there's another tube missing. Last thing I'll do is check the picture tube. Either there would just be a couple random tubes missing. One that makes me worried that they brought in for repairs, and the repairman decided it was I did too much work and didn't, and gave it back to the owner, and they just stuck in the attic. Or somebody harvested the tubes for a newer set that they got, and at some point they needed a 1B3 and they just took it out. Hard to say at this point. But from what I've was studying when I was looking at the 106, most of these parts aren't terribly difficult to get. Like this flyback looks exactly like the same kind that RCA and Admiral used. I got a few spares. Same with that focus coil. So we shall see. The Luxor CRT emission booster, a Gemco product, Great Eastern Manufacturing Co., Brooklyn, New York. Tell you something else nice about this set. It doesn't stink. In fact, it has a very nice, faint aroma of just old wood. So wherever this was kept all these years, took good care of it, so there's no way this was in a damp, musty basement or anything like that. Alright, so, let the CRT hooked up. And, just can't tell if it's lit up or not. Yeah, it is. You can tell if your filament's blown with a CR70 and you start turning this knob up, the needle will just go right way over. When the filament's good, it drags this down, so you have to crank this up almost all the way to get up to 6.3. Or at least up further than if it was burned out. Alright, so that's half the battle. Oh, you know, that actually could be a halfway decent size. So it's got an HK short. Now, I had the same thing happen with an Admiral set. I tested ages ago. It's buried down over there. And as I talked about in that video, there's two purposes these things can serve. One is a step-up transformer, like an autoformer. So it'll take the 6.3 volts AC and make it like 8, 9, 10 volts AC to crank up the filament juice to squeeze more electrons out of it before it completely goes dead. But these can also serve as isolation transformers. So there's two pins for the filament on this, and there's a separate one for the cathode. They're never supposed to make contact with each other. In this case, they have. So depending on how the set is configured, it may or may not be a problem. Usually in a set like this, though, all the tube filaments are wired in parallel. So that means that the cathode on the CRT is not hooked up to all the heaters on the other tubes. That's not good. Because if this set has, say for example, the video signal injected on the cathode, you got that video signal going throughout all the tube filaments in the whole set. It's just not going to work right. The other way you can do it is the video signal goes to the first grid, G1, and the cathode is used with a variable bias for the brightness control. Somewhat less problematic, I think, but depends on the design. And in either case, some of these, what look like boosters, are just isolation transformers. 6.3 volts in, 6.3 volts out, but it isolates this tube from the rest of the set. Those are hard to find. I've got a standing search on eBay for boosters, or CRT emission boosters, whatever, and I've never come across the isolation type. And I've gotten several boxes of new old stock goodies, and I've gotten probably 24 now various boosters, but no straight isolations. I think some might be isolation and boosters, but none that are just straight isolation. Now, another possible fix you can do is tack in your own 6.3 volt filament transformer somewhere inconspicuous inside the set. Will serve the same purpose. Now, unfortunately, with this tester, I can't go any further. Or maybe I can do G1 shorts. I can't test the emissions. And you can't clear the shorts. This clear short function is only for removing a G1 short. You cannot remove a heater cathode short. So if I go into emissions, it's just nonsense. It's not going to read anything. So I guess that's going to be that for this video. Now, I hope you enjoyed this look at a Motorola VT105.